Hello, Year 2s, how are you doing? Welcome to another Problem of the Week! Thank you, Tautau. Where did you spring from? You okay?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Well, let's get started with the lesson. What do you think?
Good idea.
We'll start with a recap of some recent learning. We've been looking at a half, a very special kind of a number, a kind of a fraction. And fractions are numbers that are all about splitting up a whole into equal parts. So in these two examples, there's two shapes. They've both been split up into two equal parts. One of those parts is written like this, 1/2, and we call that a half. The 2 represents the two equal parts that the whole has been split up into, and the 1 represents one of those parts. In these two examples, we've split up the shapes into two parts, but are they halves? No, because they're not two equal parts. Now, on to today's new learning. I'm going to take a square of paper. I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to fold it in half again. So what do you think that's going to do? What will that look like? Now, I don't know if you can see the fold lines. In fact, I'll make it a bit easier for you. I'll put in the lines and I'm going to shade one of the sections that I've created. Okay, all done. That was quick, wasn't it? Now, have a look at the square. What have I done? Can you see? Can you explain? Well, I've split it up into how many equal parts this time? It's 4 equal parts in total. And I shaded in one of those sections. So I've shaded in 1 out of 4 equal parts. Now this creates a new special number which we call a quarter. So when you split the whole into 4 equal parts and have one of those parts or shade one of those parts, we call that a quarter, 1/4. And that's what we're exploring today. So have a look at the screen here and you can see my square of paper. And can you see that I split it up into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts, and one of those parts has been shaded red. So this we call a quarter. Now, can you fill in the blanks in this sentence? There are how many equal parts? How many of those parts are shaded? And then what's going to go here? How much of the whole is shaded? Have a think, and then I'll go through it. So there are 4 equal parts in total, and one of those parts is shaded. So we write 1/4 of the whole has been shaded. We call that number 1/4, and we write it like this. Now, what does this 4 represent? Why is there a 4 there? What does it mean? Can you explain in a full, clear sentence? Pause the video if you need to. The 4 represents the 4 equal parts that the whole has been split up into. And what about this 1? What does the 1 represent? Full sentence. The 1 represents the 1 part that has been shaded. So that's why we write 1/4 like that, 1/4. I hope that makes sense because that's really, really important. And in words, we say that's a quarter or 1/4. You might have heard the phrase a quarter of an hour, for instance. Let's look at some more examples. There are 3 more squares here. They've been split up into parts, as you can see, and parts have been shaded red. Now, can you recognize a quarter? Have a look at each one. Do they each show 1/4? Has 1/4 of the whole been shaded red? How do you know? How can you explain and justify your thinking? Using our sentence here will really, really help you. Pause the video here if you need some time to go through and think. I'm going to go through them now. For the first one, this does show 1/4. How do I know? Well, there are 4 equal parts and one of those parts is shaded. So 1/4 of the whole is shaded. What about the second one? Does that show 1/4? No, it does not. There are 4 parts, but they are not 4 equal parts. So it's not 1/4. Fractions are all based on equal parts. And what about the last one? Does this show 1/4? It's a No, it does not. But why not? Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. The parts are equal, aren't they? And one has been shaded, but that's not 1/4 because it's only 1/4 if there are 4 equal parts and one has been shaded. This has been split up into 5 equal parts and one has been shaded. How do you think you would write that number? It would be like this, wouldn't it? There are 5 equal parts and one of those parts is shaded. And we call that 1/5. But that's for another day. Does that all make sense?
Now, a great extra challenge for you to try at home is to see how many ways can you show 1/4 with a piece of paper. Here's one. But there are many, many more. How many can you find? You can draw lines and shade parts in. Good luck with that.
Yes, thank you, Tautau, but he's absolutely right. That's an excellent investigation to do. And there are loads of different ways of finding a quarter for you to discover. You can fold a piece of paper like I did, but you don't have to. You could just draw lines. And then by shading parts in, how many different ways can you show 1/4? There are lots to be discovered. Now on to the other independent tasks. Question 1, filling in the blanks here. Based on the image here. Number 2, shade 1/4 of each shape. And number 3, look at those shapes. Which ones have a quarter shaded? Which ones do not? And how do you know? And can you fix those ones? Can you draw them again and show 1/4 correctly? 2 problems. Reading, thinking. You can use paper strips to prove that she is incorrect. True or false, and of course, explain your answer. How did you make up your mind? How did you decide? I am going to go through the answers to those, so pause here if you still need to go through them yourself. Here are my answers to the first 3 questions. I hope you came up with something similar. For number 2, as long as you've shaded in 1 part, then you will have shown 1/4. And for number 3, I haven't written my explanations or drawn the new correct versions, but I hope you came up with sensible answers for those. Maybe the parts weren't equal or there weren't 4 equal parts. And for the 2 problems, here are some possible answers. I hope you came up with something similar. For the second one, it was true. That is 1/4 of the shape. Now, why is that the case? Well, look, it's exactly the same as this one here, isn't it? Exactly the same. The only difference is we haven't got those lines in there. But by adding lines or taking out lines, you're not shading the shape any more or any less. So the same amount is shaded. That means the same fraction is shaded. So sometimes you might need to put in the lines to show the equal parts or imagine those lines in there. But if this is 1/4 of the whole, then this is as well, okay? I hope that makes sense. That's it for this video. I hope
Well done, year 2s!
Tautau, I was talking to the year 2s there.
Sorry.
It's okay. But yes, well done. Really well done with those. That is it for the lesson, though. We hope you got on well with it. Tune in again next week for another installment of
Problem of the Week.
And in the meantime, look after yourselves. Take care. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.